Hey, sister, let's talk about the sisterhood wound in this episode. Okay, so let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. It's me, your holistic wealth bestie, Joanna. And today I want to talk to you about the sisterhood wound. So get your glass of water. Let's take a sip and let's get right into it. So I want to talk about the sisterhood wound because there are obviously a few things that we as women need to overcome in order to come into our full abundance. And one thing that I know is a very, very important one is the sisterhood wound, right? So I personally believe that the sisterhood wound, what is it? And then I will go into it. So what is the sisterhood wound? The sisterhood wound is a level of abandonment, betrayal, or neglect, something like that, something along those lines, or shame. Yeah. Abandonment, betrayal, shame. These are core wounds that most human beings have. And especially in the space of womanhood and like feminine business, it's very important because most of the time, we as women, no matter what it is, you are probably like, if you are here, you're probably like a high achieving woman, right? So you have like you're educated, you have worked in corporate, or you maybe even have an online business already. And the thing is, we want to grow. Like that's what I'm here for. It's about growth, it's about expansion, it's about more success, more money, more impact, and more happiness, right? I believe it all goes hand in hand. And one thing that could be blocking you from the next level of your personal success is the sisterhood wound. The sisterhood wound is let's create like something tangible, right? So for me, for example, in my personal story, I know how the sisterhood wound was inflicted upon me. The sisterhood wound can be something ancestral, but it can also be something from this lifetime, right? So the sisterhood wound is just when a friend, like for example, a friend of yours has betrayed you, like a friend of yours has maybe cheated on you with your man or with your boyfriend or with your husband. I mean, we know these things happen, right? So this happened to me, or this happened for me, right? As we like to see it, it happened for my growth. And one thing that happened to me, I've told that story before, is that I like it was my first love. Like he was toxic as hell, but like he was my first love, and he cheated on me. Like my ex-boyfriend, he cheated on me with two girls from my area. So he lived in a different city, and those two girls, they lived close to me. So they were not my best friends, but they were running in my circle, and a friend of mine or friends of mine were part of this circle. And one time, like all of the girls, they went to go to his city. And then two of these girls, or he cheated on me with two of these girls. So for me, it wasn't only a betrayal of like my boyfriend back then cheating on me, but I think what even hurt more, because I don't know why, but somehow I think we already, like women are already used to, even though I don't advocate for it, like we're kind of used to men cheating. Like we know that like he was like an athlete, a football player, like he was a wild guy. That's why I liked him too. But obviously, like I wasn't the only one. But he cheated on me with these two girls. And what hurt me even more than his betrayal were their betrayals. Like they knew what they were doing. They absolutely knew what they were doing. And I honestly, I do not sympathize with one of these girls until today because she has never apologized, right? And I believe that this is part of our spiritual hygiene, our really letting go of the things that keep your energy down. But what I want to say, I'm going a little bit on tangent here, but those two girls, knowing that they are like sleeping with this guy and he was my boyfriend back then, I felt like they did it on purpose in terms of it's malicious. It's not that like they didn't know what they were doing. So they knew exactly what they were doing and they threw me under the bus, right? Like they weren't sympathizing with me, they didn't care about me, and they were just out for their own whatever they thought they would get from him. Like he was like they were never in a relationship. So that could be like a sisterhood wound, right? So I realized that when I came across that topic, I realized that one of my blocks to actually show up here on YouTube and to expand my business was to show myself and to be seen by everybody, right? Because when we are on public platforms, we are seen by everybody. And most of the time when we start out, we are seen by the people who know us, right? Like that's also one thing that I know that blocks many people, like many business owners or people who want to become content creators. Many of us, we are afraid to be judged, especially by the people who are close to us, like work colleagues or people in your social circles, people you know, because you are afraid to be judged by them. Right. So I know like I have been a life coach for 7 years now. So at the beginning or even like a few years back, I had to work through that to actually become more visible and just to do my thing because I knew that there were haters around, right? We all know that. And many times it's not it's most of the time it's not the random people that we care about. It's really the people that we know in the back of our minds, even though they're not part of our circle anymore. I'm saying that all of that to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I'm always talking so fast. I like if you're here, thank you for being here and bear with me. But I just want to get it out. Like perfectionism is out like overboard. Like we don't care about that, but I still want to make it pleasurable for you to listen to. But yeah, the sisterhood wound can be exactly that. I got betrayed. Like I got thrown under the bus by these women's. And it's true, right? So it's not about being a victim. I'm not here like, oh my God, this happened to me, but realizing like this is where pain has been inflicted upon me. And the thing is for me, especially, these were two Black girls, right? Like it's just my personal experience. You can't apply it to your own situation. So for me, I have always like been more like in terms of social circles, I have been more around Black and people of color, like in terms of social circles, even though I have white friends and I have, but it's more like individual, like it's not really like my crowd, but my crowd is more so like Black and brown people and people of color. So what it did to me was to feel like I had to protect myself from those kind of women, right? Because that's what we do when we get hurt. We learn to form protection mechanisms and we don't want to get hurt again. So either we retreat, right? That's a flight mechanism, or we fight, right? Or we retreat or we just become like cold-hearted towards this kind of woman, like this kind of woman or whoever we feel like they're represented. Of course, when we are intelligent and we grow in consciousness, we realize it's not those kinds of women, it's them. It's just those two people, right? It's not a generalization. But the sisterhood wound can be so much bigger. Like there are many women, and I have been working through the sisterhood wound for a long time with Black and brown and white women, with all kinds of women. Because on the other side, with white women, I have always thought that there is like this sisterhood wound of like they don't understand me. They probably have internalized racism inside of them. Like we're all here kumbayaing, like being in the spiritual space or personal development space, but you don't really know my story or you don't really know my life experience. So I was always afraid that maybe there is like a separation. But in those very healing circles where I was able to address those things, this helped me open up and be like, okay, like there is some level of solidarity here. Right? Because this can happen, especially like I'm mixed. I have been aware of creating unity within myself. Yeah, but also talking to people about, okay, this is what I feel that separates us, right? Let's talk about that and let's become conscious of it instead of just brushing over it and pretending that we're all equal and everything is kumbaya, right? So with white women, I had the privilege of doing it like in sisterhood circles, online, offline. I myself have facilitated like women's groups, women's circles with all kinds of women, Black, brown, white, Asian, all of that. And on the other side here as well, with Black women, right? Like really realizing, okay, it's not, I can't generalize it, but it happened. Like they threw me under the bus. And of course, there are women on the internet. Shout out to Exoticals United. I love you. I see you. She's a mixed woman who speaks about those things, right? Like Black women, colorism, how Black women don't like mixed girls and things like that. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to like strengthen the narrative, but let's point things out. Like, let's be real about it. We can only evolve above it, like as an individual, yeah, when we are aware of what's actually going on. So, but what I want to say here is you look inside of your life and in your history where women have betrayed you, and then realize or like think about what kind of woman was it? Like what kind of woman was it? In terms of everything, like what was her social status, maybe how did she look, what race or what ethnicity did she come from? Because sometimes when, as I said here, like these two girls, like one of them, like I know she's a social media personality as well, and like I she's an archetype for me now. Like my subconscious mind has said like, okay, she's an archetype. That's the kind of woman I don't like. They're even more like when I'm thinking like there's another woman who has betrayed me. She's also a Black woman. She slept with my very first boyfriend, like not the one I just talked about. What a random episode. But yeah, let me get it out. Let me get it out. Like I have been betrayed by other women many times, and especially with men, right? So this is a big wound. I can't trust you because you want the same thing I want. And that's why, like, I think that's part of my decentering men approach. Like I really don't put men on a pedestal. I'm not saying that I don't like men. I know that there are some good men out there, but honestly, for me personally, I see them as rare and few. But it's the same thing with good women. Like they're rare and few, yeah. But I believe that there is potential to grow and to heal, and that's why I'm putting this content out because we have to do this releasing work, just like the sisterhood wound, in order to be a beautiful, abundant, loving woman, right? Like that's just what I believe. Like I believe in abundance. I believe that everybody can get there. I believe that we have it inside of us, but there's work to do in order to actually step into it, right? And there's like this healing work, the releasing work. So, yeah, maybe you want to think about that too. Maybe like get out a pen and paper, write it down, and really write down where have you been betrayed by friends? Yeah, it doesn't only have to do with men. Like, I think that's a big one, but I think friends can also like cheat on you with money, with telling your secrets, putting you down like secretly. And I believe like the more you heal, the more you become whole and you come into your authentic, full, powerful self, your intuition will become more and more fine-tuned. So you will realize like when friends are not really having your best interests at heart. Maybe they're jealous, they're envious, they don't really share. They don't share resources with you. They don't share what's going on in their mind. They don't share connections, things like that. I believe it's very important that we don't just brush over it and pretend everything is kumbaya, but that we actually notice that those things are real. Like if you realize those things inside of you, only then you have the chance of healing it, right? Because again, this is my goal, this is my intention with this video and also my whole work is to actually open your heart again. It's about forgiving, right? That's what it's about. Like the sisterhood wound is about forgiving these women and realizing they have been operating out of scarcity mentality, right? They maybe thought, oh, there's only this one beautiful guy, so I got to snatch him up too, no matter if she already had him, or other friends, maybe they're jealous because they are in scarcity mindset and they think there's only one place at the top. Yeah, so I don't really advocate or like root for my girl because I think if she wins, I lose. No, that's not true. So we have to forgive those people who wronged us, just like Jesus, right? That's the whole betrayal thing. The whole betrayal story of Jesus is about that too, right? Like you have in your close circle, you will have somebody who's gonna snitch on you, right? So we want to forgive that so we can be free. That is the thing. It's about you. Like, and that's why I say it's divine selfishness. It's important to heal and to forgive so you can be free. It's about releasing the dirt, the yuck. Yeah, not being hurt, not being weighed down by this, because as I said before, like in the beginning phase of my personal brand and building my business, it was that I was afraid maybe to speak up because I knew I had some opponents, right? Like they were still hating, like you're jealous, you're jealous, and maybe I was afraid to fight back. So I had to build up my strength. I had to forgive them. I had to create some understanding, forgive them, and be free. Like you are over here, I mean, it's years ago, but this hurt, and that's the whole thing about trauma. We believe it is still true, like in our body it feels, it shows up as still true in the here and now. So we have to become conscious of what has hurt us, what created a trauma, what created a wound. Then we go and heal it by forgiving. So focus here so you can be free to share your story, right? Because there is another woman out there who can benefit from your story. There's another woman out here who needs you, like who wants to learn from you, who wants to be nurtured by you, who wants to learn from you. Because if we continue to keep the sisterhood wound alive, we will close our hearts for every woman, right? For every woman, or as I said, for me, it was then the Black woman, the women's group, because it was for me, it wasn't only these two women that I was now like felt betrayed by, but I cut off the whole piece. Like I cut off a lot of people. As I said, it was a circle of people and I couldn't trust no one no more. So boom. And that's the thing with trust issues, right? And that's what I see on social media as well. Like when some women are coming up on their journey, and I respect it and I don't want to even shoot against them, but I hear this narrative a lot that it's like, don't trust anybody, like nobody's your friend. And I don't agree with that because I know, like, down in the gutter, yes, that's true. Down in the trenches, probably that's true, where everybody is in survival mode, right? Where people are jealous, envious, where they think this one pretty guy is the only guy there is. And most women, unfortunately, think that way. Right? This is the whole centering men and then like running over your friend so you can have a piece of the D. Okay, so many people, let's call it down at the bottom in scarcity mentality, which is again, I'm not blaming anybody. No, like I'm just saying like this is the human condition, and we want to understand that this is where I come from too. Maybe that's where you come from too, but maybe I'm not perfect. No, but like we have the light. I say that like with all honor and respect towards me and you. If you're here, you have the light, right? Like you have the light and you're constantly looking for the goodness because there is goodness, right? And there is abundance. And that's why I'm saying, no, there are friendships, but on a different level. And you have to let those people prove themselves to you, because just because we were hurt and we heal doesn't mean that we forget. Now we create new ways of approaching life. Right now we create stronger boundaries, higher standards, and we give people the opportunity to prove themselves to us so we can protect our peace and our love. But still, we give love. We create these platforms, we create these channels, we create the business to love another woman, because I believe that this is one of the highest callings for a woman, to serve other women, because I have been you. I was you, and I had the privilege of learning from another woman, from a self actualized woman, from a boss, yeah, from a goddess. I had the privilege of learning from a few of them. So I also want to give that back down, because I know that if you are still maybe down in the trenches, let's just call it that, right? And you think, oh my God, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. No, you're here because you know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And one of the things is the sisterhood wound. Not everyone is evil, not everyone is jealous. Yeah, but acknowledge that you have been hurt, and maybe you have closed your heart to actually show yourself and be like, here I am, and I trust that there are other women that I can love on and they can love on me, right? Because it is possible. And if you don't open your heart, you will never give what you have to give. So if you can't give what you have to give, you will never receive what is out there to be received, because you don't trust. Right. So maybe even feel into this episode with you. I always say that if you're listening to me, show some love, right? Give me a heart, give me a feedback, leave me a comment, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, share it with a friend if you do have friends, right? I think many times also we don't share these content because we don't have a friend. We don't have a friend that we openly share this level up content with, because we think we want to have one up. Like we want to be a little bit further ahead. If you feel that, like, I don't want to shame you for it, but feel it, acknowledge it, and realize that this is not being abundant. Because if you share, it's literally being in abundance, right? Oh my God, there's so much to say. I didn't even know that I had so much to say, but it's a loaded topic, the sisterhood wound, right? And especially if you come from a background where you couldn't trust. You couldn't trust. Sometimes the sisterhood wound could even be amongst you and your mom, right? It is still a sisterhood wound, that your mom wasn't your biggest supporter. So you feel like you have to guard yourself from other women. And I feel like this can be the biggest trap for a woman to be like, I am a man's girl or something like that. Like I get along with men better. I know a few of these women. I probably have been her in my early teenage years. Like I also thought, okay, I like to be with guys, but let's be real. Like that's my take on it. Those guys are not your friends. They also siphon your energy. Like they want to be seen with a beautiful girl. Maybe they want to try to hit on you like in the one a moment where it's appropriate. They just want to surround yourself with you. Women, especially women who are beautiful and smart and talented and charismatic and on the upcoming come up, you are an asset, right? You're an asset. So like personally, I wouldn't recommend you rather being with men than with women. So yeah, I don't want to put like entangle the whole thing, but really the sisterhood wound is about you realizing and acknowledging when and where you have been hurt by what kind of woman, whether it be your literal sister, maybe even, or your mom or friends or your social circle, and then identify like what kind of woman was it. So as I said, for me, it really was like this, okay, I had this general assumption, which wasn't really a personal experience with white women, where I thought, oh, they don't understand me. They're probably like, they think they are like more privileged than me or things like that, right? This is also something that I had to work through. I realized that this was something about white women where I felt like I couldn't speak up because they wouldn't understand my struggle, which is false, right? Like, of course, they have their own struggle, but a human experience is a human experience. That's what I believe, right? And yeah, people, I do know people have internalized racism, and then there is the sisterhood jealousy, competitiveness, and things like that. But we can only heal it if we address it. That was me with the white womanhood circle. But then also with Black women, I also felt like I couldn't trust them. So I had to feel that within me, and then I had to work through it. I had to forgive, yeah, and understand what's going on here and why this is so. And it is not her fault or her fault. It is the system that we live in. But as soon as we are aware, it is our responsibility to heal it, right? To heal it and to overcome it and to become bigger, because it will set us free. And it's your personal, it's a personal privilege. It's a personal asset if you do that. Like you rid yourself of the trust issue, right? It doesn't mean that you now trust everybody blindly, but you get rid of the hurt. You get rid of the protection, right? You get rid of the resentment. You get rid of all the yucky feelings that don't serve you, because you know that you have to share something, you want to shine your light, and you can't really do that if you think that everybody is against you and that you will be attacked from both sides, or that actually, again, on the other side, that there's nobody who's listening to you. Because there are people that want to hear your voice. There are people that you can help. There are people who are going to invest with you. There are people who are going to trust you and love you, and like to the like upward, right? Like if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for a mentor, yes, there are women there, they want to help you. And yes, on the other side, also reaching down, yes, there are girls and young women who want to learn from you if you're ready to share whatever it is that you have to share, right? So yeah. With that being said, I believe in female friendships. Absolutely. I believe in solidarity. I believe in mentorship by women. I believe in women's circles. I believe in, yeah, the united power of women, definitely, but only if everybody is doing their inner work. Only then. I've created a video before. Women can only, like, queens can only be friends with queens. Maybe you want to look at that as well. And I still believe that you can only be with other up-leveled people, because if you are surrounded by people who might not be super happy with their lives, they're still going to be jealous. So no, I want to be only with people who are either my mentees or my mentors, or women who are on an equal level as me. Yeah, let's be real. There, it's not about hierarchy, but it's a level of competence, it's a level of growth, and we have to still acknowledge that. Okay. So with that being said, I would love to hear from you if you have been betrayed. Who have you been betrayed by? What was the betrayal? If you want to share it in the comments, you can also write me. Like I love that. Like on TikTok, people will send me private DMs, and I would love to introduce the same thing here on YouTube. If you don't feel comfortable or confident enough to share on the comments, because I know these topics can be a little sensitive, write me on info@joanafatondji.com. Info@joanafatondji.com. You will find it in the links down below in the description box. And I would love to hear your stories. Like, have you been betrayed? Who betrayed you? What was it? Did somebody cheat on your, like, did a friend cheat on you with your boyfriend? Or did, like, what awful things did other women do to you that you just want to release. You know, you just want to get it off your chest, write it down, like, let me know about it, and know that it's part of your healing journey as well, because we do it for us. Like, it's not forgiveness, it's never for the other person. Like, literally, you could care less like what happens with them, but it's about you, like you taking out the charge, like you taking out the trauma response, like the this feeling of, "Ugh, I still hate her." No, you don't care, right? Like, hate is still a strong emotion. Nobody like you shouldn't even give that emotion to anybody. So I would love to hear from you. Again, let me know how your story has been with your mom, with friends, with sisters. What is your relationship to women? Do you have trust issues? Be honest. Yeah, if yes, are you ready to release them? Yeah, are you ready to get over it and actually step into a next version of yourself? Because there can be goodness on the other side. There can be friendship, there can be love, yeah, from a place of wholeness, a place of no dependency. Like, you don't have to be dependent, right? You're your person, they're their person, but two queens can be partners, yeah. So that's what I believe in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hear from you. This was a very chatty episode, chatty, some girl talk, chat, chat, chat. But these are the real topics, right? Like, I believe that we all have these topics, and I actually feel like I love speaking about that. So I'm probably gonna talk more about those things. So what's your sisterhood wound? I'm looking forward to hear from you, and until then, stay dangerous. Bye bye.